calendars, which is linked to the sin of Jeroboam. And this is part 2A of the Revelation of the True Scriptural Calendar series that we're presenting. And we hope that you're tuning in. And be sure, if you haven't seen part 1, which we set a foundation, you could always check out part 1 of 7. It is in the description below the video. I always want to remind everyone that, here we are as we put forth these understandings on our channel. There's more than 200 videos just on calendars alone, and there's up to 300 videos on various other topics as well. And one thing that we do know is that we promote and also, I guess you can call it, profess the true scriptural calendar. And so even though our channel is still growing, many people who are starting to tune in, it's not about numbers. It's really about making disciples to the Messiah. We're not all about, getting a whole bunch of people, but rather turning disciples, students, stewards, servants into, servants of the Messiah. And that's our goal. And we want to do that, again, to help everyone to know when to meet with their annual appointments with the Most High on the scriptural calendar that's found in the Bible and not in the sky, which is the main topic of this series. And don't forget to, family, if you can, give a thumbs up. It helps to set the algorithm going on. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Mm-hmm. Again, Shabbat Shalom to all who are joining us today. Brother Job, you want to add anything here?
Yes, Brother Sean, brother and sister, this is very important information. And continue to listen in and study the scriptures that we present to you, because don't just listen and not prove these things. Prove what we're saying, and you'll see, and your eyes will be open. And Jah respects those who study his words and prove the things that are so, just like the ancient Bereans. So be a good student. We are disciples of the Messiah, and it's him that our salvation is in, and nothing else.
That's right. So let's get into Jah's set and fixed scriptural calendar and holy days. Now, again, we did set a foundation last week. And if you go through any of the calendar videos or lessons that we have, you'll see a lot of them linked together and are complementary with each other. When we're talking about the word set and fixed, we mean it's, doesn't move. When we look at this word set, fixed, or appointed, it means to post, station, or appoint for the purpose of performing some duty. To determine or fix definitely. So that's how it is. These are established festivals. Also, to put something or someone in a particular place. So you're fixing something in its locale, in its position, or in its situation. Again, to place in a particular position or posture. When we look up this, the origin of this word, Middle English, seten, from the Old English, satan, cause to sit or to make, or cause to rest on a seat. Cause to be put, placed, or seated. Also put in a definite place. Also arrange, fix, adjust, fix, or appoint, like appointed time for some affair or transaction. And cause thoughts, affections to dwell on. Your mind is fixed on something. So we can see that this is something that means it's unmovable, right? And this word, when we look at it, when we look up this word in the so-called Hebrew for the word set and fixed and appointed, it's the word Moed. And, this word here, Moed, means appointed seasons, could mean appointed feasts, but is most assuredly used for various amounts of natural seasons all over the world. And as you may know, and if you don't know, you're going to have to learn, but these seasons are fixed. They are appointed times on earth and are established by Jah. It's going to go spring, summer, winter, fall, I should say spring, summer, autumn, winter, in that order all the time. They're always going to come at their appointed times. So these seasons are fixed and they're appointed, and they're never going to be moved around. Like summer's never going to be coming after autumn. So everything has its own particular order. And many people try to say that the word Moed, or seasons, in Genesis 1 is only referring to the holy appointed feasts, but that's not so at all. Can the word Moed refer to the appointed feast? Yes, but context is the key. The seasons are used to regulate definite points in the year and natural periods of time by the influence of the sun, moon, and stars. First of all, we use the sun, moon, and stars for our agricultural purposes, for planting and growing and reaping. obviously for navigational directions on land and sea, and the other measurements of time when we're looking at the sky and the positions of the heavenly host. The effects of the seasons on human life, even the rain seasons, hurricane seasons, summer seasons, they affect us. In the world, they will call it the circadian rhythm. The effects of all upon all creatures, animals and insects and vegetation. As you may know, these things or these creatures all operate under the position, I say the position, under the influence of the sun, moon, and stars to migrate, to hibernate, so on and so forth, as they are connected to the seasons. Even if you're dealing with breeding animals, domesticated animals, or even in the wild, they are again tied to these seasons. And as I said, the seasonal migration of birds and hibernation of many of Jah's creatures all are tied to these things. And as well, the seasons are for us to enjoy. Looking at this word, Strong's H4150, Moed, means appointed place. It can mean appointed time or meeting. It could, again, appointed time, generally speaking, a sacred season, a set feast, an appointed season, also an appointed meeting, an appointed place, or an appointment, appointed sign or signal, and also it means the tent of meeting. So again, as we look at this word appoint, as you know, appointment or appointed, it's an agreement of fixing a date for official business. So we all know that you have appointments for your doctor and your dentist, and you have appointments if you're ever going to go travel, whether train or plane. You have to make sure that you're there at that fixed official time. Otherwise, if you miss these appointments and these fixed times, then you miss out on the thing that you're planning to do. So let's look at some scriptures as we focus on the Moed, the set feast of the Most High.
Nehemiah chapter 10, verse 33. For the shewbread and for the continual meat offering and for the continual burnt offering of the Sabbaths of the new months for the set feasts. Ezra 3, verse 5. And afterward offer the continual burnt offering, both of the new months and of all the set feasts of Jah that were consecrated, and of every one that willingly offered a freewill offering unto Jah. 2 Chronicles 31, verse 3. He appointed also the king's portion of his substance for the burnt offerings, to wit, for the morning and evening burnt offerings, and the burnt offerings for the Sabbaths, and for the new months, and for the set feasts, as it is written in the law of Jah.
Now, when we look into the scriptures here, when it says new months, they want to put their new moons, but we know that there's no such thing as lunar cycles in the Most High's calendar. And the word for, new moon is the word Kadash, but that just means renewal. This has nothing to do with the word moon, because the word moon for moon in the so-called Hebrew is Yariach. But what we see here is that all of these are in the law and the Torah. You don't see the words new moon in the Torah at all. You're not even in the first 8 books of Moses, of Scripture, I should say. Mm-hmm. You see the words new moon. It's not mentioned in Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy at all. Not even mentioned. The word moon appears a couple of times, and it has nothing to do with calendar observations.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're looking at these particular appointments, especially when it comes to the Most High's truths, his months are in their appointed seasons. So we have here Abib being equivalent to February. This is the first month that always has 28 days. It kicks off the spring season. And as we go through, you can see all 12 months, the Gregorian equivalent, the amount of days in each month, which equals to 364 days in the common year. But also within these months, in particular Abib, Sivan, and Ethanim, we have our dates in celebration of the holy convocations: Passover, the 7th day, the waving of the sheaf, first fruits, trumpets, atonement, tabernacles, and the 8th day. All of these, as you can see in the blue here, are prescribed to a certain date of the month, and in particular as well, they are on specific days of the week. So the first day of Passover will always be on the first day of the week. 7th day of Passover will be on the 7th day Sabbath. The waving of the sheaf is on the first day. The Feast of Weeks is on the first day. The Feast of Trumpets is on the 7th day. The Day of Atonement is on the 2nd day. The first day of Tabernacles is on the first day. And the 8th day is on the first day as well. Again, just highlighting that these are fixed and set feasts, and they never wander from their date and day in the position of the month and the weekly cycle. Again, looking at this word Moed, you have a scripture when people try to say, this word Moed only means, festivals. But if we look at this verse above here, Brother Java, do you want to read it just how it is there? I mean, you can change the name if you want, but go ahead.
Yeah, Leviticus 23, verse 4. These are the feasts of Jah, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons.
So when we're looking at this, what I want to show you is that these are the feasts, 4150 Moed, that you proclaim in their seasons. So you see how they're using in this one verse, the word Moed can refer to feasts and also seasons. So individuals try to say, in Genesis chapter 1, verses 14 through 16, when it says, for signs, seasons, days, and years, they're going to say that seasons means festivals because of the definition, but seasons also means seasons.
That's right.
Which is giving you the seasons of the year: summer, winter, autumn, and fall. And here's another way you can look at this word Moed, dealing with the Most High's feast days.
Psalms 81, verse 3. Blow up the trumpet in the new month, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the mighty one of Jacob.
So again, this word Moed, right? The time appointed on the solemn feast day. And just letting you know, this word seasons can be used, for a feast, appointment, and all of these things that you see here. It has to be used in context, just like every other word. Scripture.
Psalms 104, verse 19. He appointed the moon for seasons. The sun knoweth his going down. Daniel 2, verse 21. And he changeth the times and the seasons. Leviticus 23, verse 4. These are the feasts of Jah, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons. Hosea 2, verse 9. Therefore will I return and take away my corn in the time thereof, and my wine in the season thereof.
So I just wanted to bring out, these verses here, because all of these verses, the word seasons translates as Moed. Moed, right? We just read that one. This is Moed, and this is Moed, and his wine in the season thereof. We know that this is not talking about in the feast thereof. And some people want to say, because there's a scripture that says that the moon is for feasts, but the word feast, as we said, is Moed. But when you use the scripture, and not this is from the Apocrypha, when they say the moon is for feasts, you see that, again, that word is Moed. The moon is for seasons, for agricultural seasons. It's a big part of gardening, huge for farmers. It's what helps bring forth a lot of the precious things along working with the sun, also utilizing the summer and winter seasons. The moon plays a big factor and part in the changes of the seasons, but they have nothing to do with anything holy.
That's right.
We read this before, but I think we deserve another look at it again.
Genesis 1, verse 14. And Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
Again, this seasons here is not festivals. The Most High wasn't appointing his holy festivals in the beginning of creation, right? He wasn't doing that. He was giving the true seasons that the festivals would eventually fall in that he gave to Israel. But for those individuals who want to say he let them be for signs and for festivals or holy days, convocations, that's just taking the word completely out of context. Because we know that the sun, moon, and star are for seasons. Summer and winter is very clear. And then when we utilize the scripture itself, we can see that even in Genesis chapter 8, it confirms what these seasons are.
Genesis 8, verse 22. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease.
So again, very clearly, we can see here these seasons are the seed time, harvest, summer, winter, and even, as it says there, for days, day and night, and also for years, because summer and winter together make 1 year.
That's
so everything here is complementary to each other. When individuals try to say, the moon and this and that is for the festivals, they're using this, but it's taking things completely out of context and not reading. And again, you see that there's no mention of holy weeks, holy months, and holy feasts. All these things are determined holy by the Most High, and there's nothing holy in the sun, moon, and stars. They're just there for signs for the whole earth at that. Not They weren't given just to Israel. They were given to the whole earth.
That's right. And what we read in Genesis 1:14 in conjunction with Genesis 8 is Jah letting us know why these lights were made and the primary functions of the sun, moon, and stars and what they are for. And as Brother Sean said, that had nothing to do with holy weeks, months, or holy feasts. These
That's
were
right.
made to give light to the entire earth and to let them be for signs, seasons, days, and years in relation to the entire earth.
That's right. Lunar months, equinox seasons, and all of that, and even lunar festivals are all satanic and hedonistic. We shouldn't be dealing with those. And the Most High says not to deal with these sun, moon, and stars. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. But as you want to look at, this is the 12 months of Jah's common year, how it's properly set out. And as we go over these next few weeks, just spare our lives, you'll see these charts will make great sense, giving you a full understanding of the true scriptural almanac, as Abib is the first month, equivalent to the beginning of the month February. And we got the blue dealing with the spring harvest time or the latter rain season. Underneath the order of the months, we have how many days are in each month, 28, 31, and 30, which day each month starts on, the first day of the week, which would be equivalent to Sunday or Saturday evening, and so on and so forth. You see this all the way throughout the 12 months of the year, along with the summer, autumn, and winter time. And notice that the spring equinox and the solstices and all the equinoxes and solstices are in the middle. So they'll be in March, it'll be in June, September, the one coming up, the middle of autumn, and then the midwinter solstice. Now, this chart is just a great basic understanding, informative chart, just to let you know how the common year functions and what are the divisions of the scriptural year. I would suggest you, even screenshot these to give you an understanding, because it's going to make a lot of sense soon. Every day here you see is when that month, what day of the week it starts on, and how long it is. Always, in every year, it never changes. Looking at it from the other aspect again, we have, the latter rains, spring, summer, latter summer or autumn, and the earlier former rains also as winter. Noticing again, the equinoxes and solstices are the middle of the true scriptural seasons. They're not the beginning of the seasons. The Most High's festivals are set and fixed, like we just spoke about. Passover will always be on the first day of the week. All the other festivals you see highlighted, they're all fixed, just like the seventh-day Sabbath, which is permanently fixed as well. Now, what I want you to look at here is, if you can, turn your attention to the middle right here, where it starts off with January going through. So this is like the Gregorian calendar, right? January is their first month, February is their second month, March is their third. We go all the way through until we get to December, and then of course it starts again. That's the Gregorian calendar. And what you see above it is Jah's Almanac, his true scriptural calendar. And like we said, we have the position of the beginning of the year in February, which makes January the last month of the year and not the first month. And that would make the March spring equinox the middle of the spring season. Going through, we have the summer solstice as the middle of the true summer season. We have the September autumn equinox as the middle of the true autumn season, and we have the December winter solstice as the middle of true winter. Now, as we go through, we know the bottom one is what I'm saying is what many people consider the Israelite calendar or the biblical calendar, and they'll begin it with the spring equinox. And if they're using lunar months, they're going to use the nearest lunar cycle to the spring equinox to start their first beginning of the year. So March and their spring is the beginning of their year. So March would be their first month, April's their second month, and May would be their third. But notice how March is the first month, but when it comes to Jah's Almanac, it's the second, because the spring solstice, the spring equinox is in the middle, but yet the hedonistic world, they begin their seasons. Just like how the Gregorian calendar begins spring at the spring equinox. Also, those who follow a lunar calendar, the Enoch calendar, the Jubilee calendar, or the Zadok calendar, they're also utilizing this as the beginning of the year. And as you can see there's a bit of a difference. The beginning of summer, they call it the solstice, is truly, as we move up, the middle of summer. So on this chart here, what I'm just demonstrating, what we're going to be going through and showing, this is just the difference of the three calendars that are mainly in use in the world. Now, like I said, when it comes to, I call it the equinox, so-called lunisolar calendar, again, it's going to be different than Jah's true scriptural almanac, where the astronomical seasons or the equinoxes and solstices are the beginning of the seasons. But this is not truly so at all. We've been deceived, and it doesn't work that way. This is not my idea or something we just conjured up. This is the truth. It's a great deception, one of the greatest calendar deceptions. But I do know that ancient calendars and many ancient studies I've gone through, they recognize also that these were anciently the middle of the seasons. It's just modern mankind has changed them up to make them be the beginning of the seasons.
And this is a good chart. You can see clearly that the Gregorian calendar is 1 month ahead of Jah's calendar, and the false Israelite calendar that many profess to use is 1 month behind the true seasons.
That's right. That's right. So remember how this works. Look at all their numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice that it's their 7th month, and it's September. But I want you to, as we go up, take notice that we said it's the 8th month. Yes, I know the word sept means 7. Septagon, and in French, sept means 7. But that's the 7th moon from the spring equinox, and that's what they're counting. It has nothing to do with actual months. It's dealing with the light, the amber light of the moon, amber light. It's dealing with these things. So this is the 7th lunar cycle from the beginning of their paganistic equinox spring that way. But it has nothing to do with the true scriptural seasons. And I want you to take notice that September is their 7th month, and yet it's the scriptural 8th month. This is going to be important to know. So as we get into this understanding, you'll see that you're using Jeroboam's calendar, and it's very evil. And if you're using a lunar month calendar or lunar Sabbath calendar, that's definitely of the devil. I would advise you come out of it, research, repent. Don't keep no 7-day Sabbath according to the lunar cycle. Don't keep your new monthly cycles according to the lunar cycle. And 100%, do not ever try to think that the lunar cycles have anything to do with Jah's holy convocations. The world may make you think that these full moons are part of the week-long feast, but that's just paganistic. I mean, the whole world anciently used the sun, moon, and stars in a paganistic way, and now the Israelites were supposed to be different. But now today, people are doing the same thing and doing the same mistake that our ancient brothers did by following this evil calendar of Jeroboam.
That's right. And this is what the devil wants to do to the whole world in terms of many of the deceptions. He wants to disorient you in terms of the true times of Jah. He doesn't want you to know when the weekly cycle begins. He doesn't want you to keep the true Sabbath. He wants to disorient you when a day begins and ends. All these things are dealing with times and being able to measure days and years. And because you can't do that, you'll never be able to keep the holy times of Jah. And this is one of his main goals, is to push you off of Jah's holy times, to keep you perpetually worshiping the sun, moon, and stars, whether you know it or not. Because just like Brother Sean said, every ancient culture in the entire world used the sun, moon, and stars to dictate to them when to keep their special feasts and events and wicked pagan customs. And the only nation in the world who didn't do that was the nation of Israel.
That's right. And there's a difference. You see, our appeal is to all Messiahs, whether Israelites or Gentiles who love the Messiah and worship the Holy One of Israel. How long halt ye between two opinions? If Jah be El, then follow him. But if it's Baal, then follow him. See, this is really about the true Israelite calendar of Judah versus the false modern lunisolar calendar of Jeroboam, aka the modern, what you'd call Israelite calendar that people are following. See, there's a deep message in the ancient calendar sin of Jeroboam, and it's alive and well to this very day. As you may know, Baal is the arch enemy of Jah's people, dealing with Satan. And Baal worship deals with the sun, moon, and stars, as you'll see.
That's right.
So, we're going to go back a little bit just to set this foundation of, as you know, how the nation of Israel was. Started off with King Saul, and then he got taken out, and then King David, and he united all the 12 tribes, and then he passed it on to Solomon, and Solomon, the 12 tribes were under him as well. But after his death, it became divided, where the kingdom of Judah had 2 tribes, Benjamin and Judah, and also many people from Manasseh and the Levites would join them separately, but those are the main 2 tribes, and then the other 10 tribes dealt with Jeroboam, and they were more of the northern kingdom. So again, this is dealing with the division, and due to Solomon's sin, after Solomon's death, the 10 northern tribes revolted and were overcome. Israel and Samaria, which were the 10 tribes, they were led by Ephraim, King Jeroboam, and they imposed Baal, calf, and planetary worship at Bethel and Dan. And without exception, all 19 of the Israelite kings, as opposed to the Judahite kings, were wicked. Many rebellions came during these times, and these Israelites later on became known as Samaritans. And then we have the kingdom of Judah and Benjamin, known as the Jews or Jewry. They preserved the line of David without break. They kept the true calendar and feasts. And this is why in the New Testament, when it says, and there was a feast of the Jews, it was in reference to the true scriptural festivals as opposed to the Israelite false festivals. And although most Judah kings were wicked, there were some who did what was right in the eyes of Jah and restored back the true worship. The high places, though, seemed like they were never removed. So who was Jeroboam? Jeroboam, he was from the tribe of Joseph, which was split into Ephraim and Manasseh. He was the son of Nebat, again from the tribe of Joseph. In the scriptures, he's known as a mighty man of valor. He was very industrious. And you can, again, get this information from 1 Kings 11. I'm just giving a quick breakdown to save us some time. He had charge over all the labor of the house of Joseph. He was a servant of Solomon, but then he turned against him, and he lifted up his hand against the king for some political reasons. And then he became an enemy of Solomon. So you have all the verses here. We're going to cover a couple of these verses just to set the tone. But again, we're moving through due to time. On your left, you have the kingdom of Judah and all their kings. Some were usually Rehoboam was wicked, then you'd have like maybe a good one, then a wicked, then you have 2 wicked ones, and maybe have good ones, and they would go vice versa. But when it came to Israel under the first Jeroboam, because there's this Jeroboam and then a great grandson Jeroboam, but all of these kings were wicked. You understand? Every one of them, they continued on the sin of Jeroboam, which is alive until today. And we're going to have proof of that. And this kind of sin and this calendar deviation, like I said, it's alive and well. And take this into consideration. Those who want to use a lunar cycle calendar, you know that it's based upon a 19-year cycle. And that's the same lunar Egyptian calendar that was being used by Jeroboam. And again, we have 19 evil kings. I don't think that's a coincidence at all.
Good point to mention.
Scripture.
1 Kings 11, verse 31. Behold, I will reign the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee. 1 Kings 11, verse 37. And I will take thee, and thou shalt reign according to all that thy soul desireth, and shall be king over Israel. And it shall be, if thou wilt hearken unto all that I command thee, and will walk in my ways, and do that which is right in my eyes, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as David my servant did, that I will be with thee, and will build thee a sure house, as I built for David, and will give Israel unto thee.
So these were the words of the prophet that was given. I think it was Ahijah that was given to could have been Nathan too, but nonetheless, it was given by Jah that Jeroboam would be a king and he'd have 10 tribes. And Jah made the same deal with him that he makes with all the kings. That he'll be with them as long as they keep his commandments and walk in his ways. However, as the story goes, if you don't know it already, Jeroboam didn't take heed at all and did quite wicked. And his sin, which became a calendar sin, also became a national sin for the whole nation. And it kept this calendar sin keeps the whole nation in sin. And this is why I'm talking about calendars. It's very important in these last days. As you can see, the interest for the festivals and calendars are amongst us. So the Most High is reviving up this understanding, because the festivals are signs and markers of that we're worshiping the true Most High. Whether it's the 7-day Sabbath, it's His commandments, laws, and statutes, along with the festivals. These are the markers, the signs, and the identifying pieces of worship that let us know that we're worshiping the Creator of the heavens and the earth.
That's right.
Now Jeroboam becomes king over Israel, right? The 10 tribes. Rehoboam was king over the 2 tribes, but his refusal to heed the request of the northern tribes had caused division. And later on, they were going to go have a fight, but Jeroboam's forces were told not to fight by the prophet Shemaiah, for this thing is of me, of the Most High. So the division was because of the Most High, so they never went to war right away. But the kingdom was divided politically, but they were supposed to remain united religiously and worship, of course, the Most High Yah, and follow and keep His commandments. But Jeroboam wanted to secure his rule, so he deviated and he took some evil counsel and he rebelled against the Most High's commandments, laws, and statutes. So he got a new religion for Israel, and he changed the object of their worship to Baal, which refers to the sun, moon, and stars, along with the 2 golden calves. He changed the place of their worship to Dan and Bethel, which was a religion of convenience to keep believers away from from going to Jerusalem. So they would just, stay in their area and worship the devil instead of going down to keep the Most High's true commandments, laws, statutes, and festivals. So what happened? What did Jeroboam do when he came on the scene with the 10 tribes? He changed their priesthood and he made priests of the lowest people. That means none were Levites. He didn't put in any Levites. He removed the Levites and he put in just regular people like his friends and all those who were close to him. He sacrificed and burned incense upon the altar at Bethel to the golden calves. And then he changed the calendar of the important feast days to match up with the Egyptian calendar and its equinox observance of seasons. Now, when we take a look at the divided kingdom, as we know, east is always going to be at the top of our maps. We don't put north up there because east is the prime, what do you call it again? The prime coordinate, of our maps. And what we see here is on the right hand, where this right line division is, this is Jerusalem, Judah, and Jewry, the 2 tribes, and this is where they dwelt, right, in this area. The 10 tribes dwelt from in the north, from the red line all the way over here to Dan. And that Dan, which was from the tribe Dan, they had a golden calf there. And then at Bethel, where Jah appeared to Abraham even, and Isaac, they made a golden calf there and worshipped. And that was the 10 tribes. And as you can see, this division was severe because no one would go down to Jerusalem to keep the festivals anymore. And those who were of Jewry wouldn't go up to keep the festivals in Israel. Some still tried to because they're pagans, and some still even didn't worship the paganism of Jeroboam, and they still observed the true festivals of Jerusalem. And these are where the 2 idols were put, one in Dan and one in Bethel. And as you can see, it's on the far north border, and then it's on the far south border, so that it blocks people from going to Jerusalem. All right, so let's again get some read off the sins of Jeroboam, the religion of Israel, Samaria, the false equinox and lunisolar calendars of Israel as well. And we're going to take a look into the 1 Kings chapters 11 and 12. Let's go.
1 Kings chapter 12, verse 25. Then Jeroboam built Shechem in Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein, and went out from thence, and built Penuel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, Now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of Jah at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of this people turn again to their master, even unto Rehoboam king of Judah, and they shall kill me, and go again to Rehoboam, king of Judah. Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold and said unto them, It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy Elohim, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And he set the one in Bethel, and the other put he in Dan. And this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan.
Okay, so we see again the setup here, right? Jeroboam's doing his own thing, and he doesn't want the people to go back to the Most High. You can definitely tell that he's possessed by the devil, doesn't want the people to go back. And as he takes counsel with his wickedness, and one thing you have to know is that Jeroboam spent some years in Egypt living under King Shishak, king of Egypt, and he was a part of that government. And if you don't know, the Egyptians, which was a great empire, they have their own type of calendar and observances of their gods, whether it's the lunar months or the equinox or the 365 and a quarter days with the 366 leap year. Where do we hear that from? The Gregorian calendar. And the Gregorian calendar is really a copy of the Egyptian calendar. And we're going to go into more of that. But we can see that, again, he's doing these things, and these things are becoming a snare and a sin.
Mm-hmm.
Let's continue.
Verse 31. And he made a house of high places, and made priests of the lowest of the people, which were not of the sons of Levi. And Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month, on the 15th day of the month, like unto the feast that is in Judah, and he offered upon the altar. So did he in Bethel, sacrificing unto the calves that he had made. And he placed in Bethel the priests of the high places which he has made. So he offered upon the altar which he made in Bethel the 15th day of the 8th month, even in the month which he had devised of his own heart, and ordained a feast unto the children of Israel. And he offered upon the altar the burnt incense.
This is serious. So this is what I'm talking about. What I'm really getting to right here is in these verses. The true festivals were switched by Jeroboam from the 15th day of the 7th month to the 15th day of the 8th month, because it says here, like unto the feast that is in Judah. And that's the Feast of Tabernacles that begins on the 15th day of the 7th month. But we can see that he had devised this of his own heart. And how did he know how to, devise it? Because again, he was in Egypt and he knew calendar systems. He was a very wise and industrious man. And of course, him being able to change these festivals and everything lets you know that he had some information about calendars and understood things. He was not no fool, right? But he's ordaining a feast, like he's copying the one, and he's adding the calves to it, the golden calves, the same thing that dealt with Aaron, if you remember. But this was very wicked because he's changing things now. And I want you to really get that. It's the 15th day of the 8th month. And there's a reason why he chose that 15th day of the 8th month, because it's tied to pagan worship. And we'll get to that. So here we are on the Most High's Almanac, months 1 to 12. Here we have the 7th month. And then we have the 15th day. The end of the 15th is the beginning of the 16th. But that 15th right there is during the 7th month. You can see it. It ends on the 7th-day Sabbath and starts the first day of the week, which is the 16th. And then when we look at the 15th, we see that it's right here. Now, one thing I want to let you know is that when you look at the middle, if you look at these seasons, these months, we have 28 days, 31, and 30. So the middle of 30 would be about 15, right? 15 plus 15 is 30. And if it was 31 days, you can say 15 and 16 would be like the midpoints. So we can see that the midpoint of spring is the 15th and 16th. And this is where the spring equinox falls. But even going down here further, we see that the middle of the 8th month is the 15th because it's 30 days. So it's the middle, as you can see, of the autumn season, because we have the first month. Then we go into the middle of it where you're going to have the spring equinox, and I'll show you a chart on that. And then the rest of it, the same thing with the solstices, right? So we have the 7th, the 15th. This is what he's copying, the 7th month festival, but he's putting it in the 8th month. And as I said, history repeats itself. Scripture.
Exodus 32, verse 4. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
So we know that after, they came out, and when Moses was on the mountain for a little while, this is what happened. They made a golden calf, right? And the reason why they made the golden calf, obviously, it was tied to Egypt worship. And not only that, it's tied to their calendar. And this is one of these kind of statues that they say is a replica, very similar to what the Egyptians worshipped. Obviously not with color, but the horns represent the moon. The sun, the disc here represents the sun. And of course, with the snake, we know who that represents. So this image itself deals with holy days and calendars, because, when he made this here, they also declared that time to be a feast. You understand? When he said, tomorrow is a feast unto the Lord, right? Unto Jah. And this is what they were serving. But as we know, that was a false feast. But look at this again, the similarity in the wording here.
1 Kings 12, verse 28. Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 cows of gold and said unto them, It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. Same wording.
Same exact wording. And we can see again, this is a part of this history repeating itself. These are both dealing with festivals and calendars. And this is what we're talking about. The festivals are very important to the Most High. And just because people are getting whiff of them now, and we might not even know the people that were keeping them for the last little while, but we know it wasn't just Almanac wasn't out on the open, but people were still searching out these festivals. And we can see, though, most people are led to keep it at the wrong times and thinking, because it says, look at these be thy Elohim, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. So they're supplanting the true Most High.
That's right.
The golden calf and the worship of the sun, moon, and stars, and Baal worship and false festivals are all tied to worship here. So they're supplanting the Most High and trying to supplant his calendar, his true almanac.
That's right.
You see, I think it's very important. There's one thing I want the brothers and sisters to know, if you don't know already, is how seasons operate in the world, right? There's basic understanding of seasons. And I want to use this chart to give you a basic understanding, right? When it comes to the Most High's almanac, right, we have the scriptural seasons, we have the solar seasons, we have the meteorological seasons, and the astronomical seasons. The astronomical seasons are what we know very well and what we're used to and what we've been deceived with these last, 1,500 years. The March equinox tells you when, they say spring is, even though we know it's the middle. Summer solstice tells you when the beginning of summer is, even though it's the middle. Same thing with the autumn equinox, although it's the middle, and the winter solstice, although it's the middle. Remember, the midsummer and midwinter deal with the solstices. And when you go to meteorological seasons, which is what your weather guys use and your meteorologists, they'll let you know that March is the beginning of meteorological spring, June's the beginning of meteorological, September, December, all a part of their type of seasons. But what a lot of people don't know is that Jah has his seasons, which are, of course, tied to the sun. The sun, moon, and stars are for signs, seasons, days, and years. And these are called solar seasons. And the solar seasons, and I will show you a video, are real. A lot of people don't know about them, obviously, because it's Jah's true scriptural seasons. You'll see that they exactly work the same: early February, early May, early August, early November. These are the true seasons. Early February, May, August, November are what you call solar seasons, where the equinoxes are the middle. And let me just, show you a quick video of that. Here we go. Solar seasons, and pay attention and tell me what you think.
Last time we checked out astronomical and meteorological seasons, but this time we will check out solar seasons. Solar seasons are actually based on insolation or solar radiation, where the solstices and equinoxes are viewed as the midpoints of the season. Solar seasons change about 3 to 4 weeks ahead of the meteorological seasons and about 6 to 7 weeks ahead of the astronomical seasons. And the best way to explain the seasons when it comes to solar is to look at a chart here involving the insolation at various latitudes in the northern hemisphere, starting off with the equator, 30 degrees north, 60 degrees north, and 90 degrees north. And we're mostly going to focus on the 30, 60, and 90 degree latitudes here when it comes to the increasing and decreasing amounts. So let's first start off here when it comes to spring, which consists of increasing insolation or solar radiation, and that's depicted here in the green for the months of February, March, and April. And you can already tell that those three areas, those three lines are actually beginning to increase, and it's with the equinox being at the midpoint of that solar spring. Now we move on into summer, where we see the months of maximum insolation or solar radiation, and that's depicted here in the red, and that happens throughout the months of May, June, and July. Now we start going in the opposite direction here as we start going into autumn here, and that actually begins in August, September, and October as we start seeing decreasing amounts of insolation or solar radiation. So you can already see how it's already hit its maximum in the summer, and now it's beginning to see that downward trend. And then lastly, in the blue there, we have winter, whereas the minimum insolation, and that actually happens in the months of November, December, but also in the months of January. And that is all when it comes to solar seasons.
Wow.
Okay. So what I want to, again, emphasize here is that you might not have heard of solar seasons, but you can research them yourself. But you notice that he said, and this is a fact that many people just don't know, even though it's been out there for a very long time, is that the equinoxes and solstices are the middle of the true solar seasons.
That's
and
right.
As the man was demonstrating, these first 3 months, months 1, 2, and 3, February, March, and April, they have the fastest increase of sunlight and daylight throughout the year. And then the months May, June, July, and June being the middle, they're the 3 months of maximum sunlight, the solstice being the middle. Then we have the fastest 3 months decrease of sunlight for months August, September, and October, where the middle, again, is the equinox. And then we have the 3 months of minimum sunlight, which is the months of November, December, and January, and December being the middle of the true winter season at the solstice. So this is one kind of chart to give you an understanding of what's occurring during this time period. Even though people do not know about these things are well known, and the scriptures also verify the truth of this understanding.
Wow. It's a shame that these weather analysts don't put this this information out there more often.
No, I agree. I was going to actually, I was talking to my wife, I was going to actually try to, email one of the guys over here. Bill Coulter is his name. He's the meteorologist for Toronto, for CP24, and he's very knowledgeable. He's not one of those weather guys that kind of don't know stuff. And I get the sense that he knows about the true seasons. I haven't heard him speak about the solar seasons yet, although he talks about certain things. So it's good that they know these things, and I'm still going to try to email him, see if he's going to put something on TV, because I think this information should be known. And once you kind of have an understanding of this, then it won't be so like when people hear that we begin the year in February, especially in North America, they lose their mind. That's winter. They don't understand. It makes no sense. But when you get a good understanding of how these seasons work, and even in the land of Israel, of which the Holy Scriptures is synchronized with in terms of the true seasons, it's there as well.
That's right. The world has been so brainwashed to view the seasons in such a distorted way. When you tell them the truth, it sounds so strange to them. Meanwhile, this is how it's been since Jah established his calendar right from the beginning. These solar seasons that we just learned about are perfectly in line with the true seasons of the Most High.
That's right. Andrea says this video is proof positive that we've been lied to about when the season starts. That's right. So these are things we just kind of want to, bring to light. And so when we get back into this understanding, and we're looking at our charts again, this is Jah's true seasons. So if it says true spring, true summer, that's Jah's how it is. February, the equinoxes and solstices being the middle of the seasons, as you can see. And then when we have the astronomical seasons, you can see when you line up the equinox with the equinox below, you can see that it's the first month. So they are 1 month either behind or ahead, shifted, let's call it, because Jazz months start, in February. They're going to start late in March, when that's late according to the true scriptural understanding, which is going to put the middle of the June solstice as their beginning of their summer. And then where we're going to get to now is the 8th month, which is equivalent in Jazz true almanac to September, but for the world, September is their 7th month. And this is why everybody is going to start trying to talk about the Feast of Trumpets and Tabernacles and the Day of Atonement, in the next week or two. And as a matter of fact, that you heard a lot of people running off their mouth about dreams, about what's going to be happening September 23rd. If you've been hearing it, you might not have, but in the United States, it's huge. Everybody's predicting, Christians are predicting the rapture, Israelites are predicting some type of strange sign. And it's like, I'm kind of tired of every time like an equinox comes by or an eclipse comes by, everybody starts going into their Bible and talking about they have all these dreams and this and that. And they're a bunch of liars. And they're deceiving themselves, self-deceiving themselves. Every time it happens, all the time, they want to talk about, oh yeah, the equinox and this and that and eclipse, and these are signs of the Most High when He turns things dark. I have no idea what they're talking about, but because when I say they love the signs of the heaven, they love it, man. Because if they never loved it, they would never be following these things. But the devil has deceived them greatly to make them follow these folly signs that are against the Most High's true almanac, because it's a part of Jeroboam's transition. He changed the calendar that was, this is the 7th month, but now he made his festival go into the 8th month, and now it lines up perfectly with the equinox and the Egyptian calendar and the Babylonian calendar and the Chinese calendar and the Gregorian calendar and all the calendars, the Assyrian, you name it. All the pagans used these equinoxes and the lunar months as their calendars, but Israel was not supposed to do that. They were not. And so when people try to follow these calendars and they use the equinoxes, I know right off the bat, and anybody of Zion who knows Jazz, we can see clearly that it's the wrong time frame. Even though they're going to look at us and say, no, we're wrong, we're too early, and we don't follow the equinox. And that we don't follow Babylon stuff.
That's right.
We just don't do it. And I know that those individuals who do study outside of our assembly and get into it, there are people who know these truths around the world. They're few. Few. They're not even a percent. You understand? Of anything. But I do know that when people study and research this topic, they start to see it. Yeah, this is like, Brother John Dunn here, Brother John Dunn also, brother in the United States too, kind of tuning into our channel, maybe for the last year or more. I'm not sure, Brother John, I don't want to misspeak, but nonetheless, I know you've done your great research and you've seen things. And Brother John's even, wants to know what day he was born on. He knew he was born on calendar 19 and everything, Brother Jabed.
Nice.
That time frame. So it lets me know, people who do study it and slow down, they'll see it. But if they're already going to come into it with a fight and everything, and I don't mean come in with an open mind, just come in to say, all right, let's see what these guys are saying and put it to the test.
That's right.
The devil's not letting go of anything very easily. And so I have no problems letting everybody know. When you keep your tabernacles, trumpets, and all that stuff in September and going even into October, I want to let you know that the devil is robbing you of true worship. Your heart might be right, just like how people say that their heart is right and everything. But just like what Jeroboam did, it's causing you to sin. And I pray that the Most High has mercy still, because I know it's the beginning of people really seeing the true calendar, the true almanac. But you're going to have to repent and come out of it and find out what the truth is. Otherwise, staying under the sun, moon, and stars and calling those things holy and worshiping the Most High, utilizing, the sun, moon, and stars and serving them, it's unscriptural. That's Baal worship.
100%.
Brother Sister Andrea says the unlearned love falsehood. That's very true. I was the same way for years. John Dunn says, yeah, man, that's good, though. I'm glad that you looked into things, That's what it takes. And I do think that people are going to be called into this understanding. And, if they're really seeking these holy times. Andrea says, the Most High gives understanding. Glory be to John Joshua. That's right.
Praise Jah.
The Holy Spirit guides us into all truth. That's right, Brother John.
Yep. That's it.
So these are, I want people to not get discouraged because you don't see this channel blowing up with things like Truth Unedited. He has his work to do, and he's helping a lot of people come out of certain things. Whereas I find that, our ministry is it deals with people who already kind of know things and are growing in maturity, but they want to fine tune their worship in a mature, in a spiritual, in a truthful way. And this is where we fall in. So I tend to always looking for individuals who might be even able to help teach other things, because we don't control anybody. Ask Brother John Donne. I don't tell him what to do or anything of that nature or anything. This is a ministry to help other believers, and you can maybe have your own little ministry in your home or in your community as well. But we want you to worship at the true holy times and also in spirit and truth with doctrine.
That's right.
Again, remember the greatest increase from February to April for the solar seasons. The maximum is from May to July, with the solstice in the middle. The greatest decrease, again, autumn equinox in the middle. The minimum length, November to January, minimum length of sunlight. It works out so perfect that these things can't be gainsaid. People can only disagree and say, well, that's not right. But they can't gainsay. Can't say, well, it's wrong because of this. They can't.
That's right. They can't prove it wrong.
Yeah, they can't prove it wrong. They can say it, but they can't prove it. And we can prove Enoch, Jubilee, Zadok, Mazareth, David this and that calendar, all of those calendars that have other names besides the Most High's name on them, we can prove them wrong. Again, look at the increase from February to May, right? You get the greatest increase. You have the maximum amount of sunlight at the solstice, which is the longest day of the year. So that means it's going to be the middle of the summer season because it's the highest point. And then again, you got the decrease coming from August through to November. And then from November through to January, we have the minimum length, with the winter solstice being the middle. Again, another perfect chart showing you that the equinoxes and solstices are the middle of God's true scriptural seasons and not the beginning. And we have to come out of that deception. So let's get some more into exposing this equinox shift. Again, you remember us speaking from before that, wait, hold on here. Where is my cursor? Did it go off? Oh, there I am. Am I there still, Brother Javed?
Yeah, you're still there.
Yeah. So with here, as you know, people teach the solar system, and then they have the spring equinoxes and the solstices are the beginning of the seasons, but we teach that they're the middle. And again, this is a profound thing that we want to prove. Scripture.
Jeremiah 10 verse 1. Hear ye the word of Jah, which Jah speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith Jah, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of the heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them.
And what are the signs of the heaven? The sun, moon, and stars, solstices, the equinoxes, all of those things. They're dismayed. They create, all the nations of the world have special festivals around the equinoxes and solstices. Many nations, if not more, majority of them have special festivals at the beginning of a lunar cycle, or the dark moon, or the full moon. I mean, Dracula and the witches and everything also operate on these things. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of, and everybody knows that the moon is some worshipped as a pagan goddess: Luna, Mona, Diana, Astarte, Ashtaroth. I mean, Easter, Esther, all of those things. They know those things, but they're going to say, no, we're not worshiping the moon. We're just using it because the Most High, that's his clock. He never told you to, never commanded anybody to use the sun, moon, and stars for any worship service at all.
That's right.
Never. And he even says that he never commanded them. And to me, these things should stand out. Trust me, when I say all these nations, Babylon, Egypt, all the United Canaanite nations back in the days, Edomites, Moabites, Canaanites, Ninevites, you name all the ites, Assyria, the Babylonians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, modern today with the Gregorian calendar and future Rome. All of these guys deal with lunar month calendars, equinox, solstice calendars, and anciently it was hardcore. They all had festivals at the beginning of the lunar cycle. Israel was supposed to be different from them and not follow them.
That's right.
But what are we doing today? Everybody's talking about, oh, it's this calendar and that calendar. Meanwhile, those calendars are just the ancient Egyptian and Babylonian calendars, dressed up and disguised differently.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to be careful what's going on out there. And if you're not really serious about these things and you think, oh, it doesn't matter, you better research it. I think people have to research this topic. This is not a topic. If you don't believe me, that's fine, but research it more. Research the topic, the calendar, and start to see and compare it with the scriptures and see if you can get a calendar without looking up in the sky, and holy days without looking up in the sky. And you'll see that the world has all of those calendars. They look in the sky for holiness. And we are saying the count is in your Bible. When you open up the Bible, you count and you figure it out. It's there. And I give thanks to John Jehoshua for giving us his spirit to help us see these things, and also giving us the Almanac through our elder, David Ray, which is the true scriptural calendar. And I won't stop saying it because it is. No one can prove it wrong. You could just disagree with it. But new moons and new lunar cycles don't exist in Jah's holy times.
Praise Jah. Sean, is your image not seem to be showing?
You don't see anything on the screen?
Everything's cool with the screen, just you.
Oh, yeah. I don't see me. That's interesting. That's why I thought I saw something go off here. I don't know what it was. Something went blank. Remember I just asked you, did something happen?
Mm-hmm.
And well, let's,
Still continue.
Yeah, still continue. Yeah, man.
Deuteronomy 4, verse 19. Unless thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them, which Jah thy El hath divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. Yeah,
so we know that the Most High, he said he gave these stars for all nations, right? That's what he gave it to them. We're not supposed to worship them or serve them. And what does that mean by serving them? Using them to dictate what is holy. And that's what it's about. I'm going to try to remove myself and come back in still, brother.
Okay.
Stay in here, okay?
All right. Just going to wait for Brother Sean to plug back in. I'm going to continue with Deuteronomy 17, verse 2. If there be found among you within any of thy gates, which Jah thy El giveth thee, a man or a woman that hath wrought wickedness in the sight of Jah thy El. Oh, slide's gone. All right, we're going to wait for Brother Sean. Sean, you back in? I think you're muted. Okay.
Can you hear me, brother? No?
Yep.
You can hear me?
All right. Yeah, everything is cool. I see you and hear you.
Okay, sorry. When I came out, I just had to come back in. I'll put that screen back up, okay?
Yep.
And you can just start reading it from that part again.
From Deuteronomy 17, verse 2. If there be found among you within any of thy gates, which Jah thy El giveth thee, a man or a woman, that hath wrought wickedness in the sight of Jah thy El, in transgressing his covenant, and hath gone and served other gods, and worshipped them, either the sun or the moon, or any of the hosts of heaven, which I have not commanded.
What? He never commanded anything here. Look at no command about using them for any type of worship, family. This is the point I want to make greatly. Go on.
Mm-hmm. And it be told thee, and thou hast heard it, and inquired diligently, and behold, it be true, and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought in Israel. Then thou shalt bring forth that man or that woman which hath committed that wicked thing unto thy gates, even that man or that woman, and shall stone them with stones till they die.
This is serious stuff. This is talking about worshiping the sun, moon, or any of the hosts, what he said he never commanded. And if you ever caught worshiping the sun, moon, or stars,
you're
put to die. It's eternal death. Look at that. He says, again, worshiping up here, he's never commanded these things. And what does worshiping the sun, moon, and stars entail, you may ask, right? Well, that's what we want to say. It's not just wearing crescents on your of the moon on your necklace or your earrings or a nose ring or anything of that nature. It's not just holding up your hand and say, "Oh, Astarte and Easter, how great you are," in the feminine aspect. It's not just having fertility, sexual rights at these times, but it deals a lot with trying to say that something is holy and you're going to worship the Most High Creator on a lunar cycle that He said not to worship me on or to serve it. And this is the whole point here, that people don't care about that statement. They say, well, we're not really worshiping the sun, moon, and stars. Then what are you doing? Well, we're worshiping Yah. All right. So why using the sun, moon, and stars to set your holy days? Well, because He put them in the sky, and that's the true calendar. And man, you can't follow man. And once it's in the sky, we know everything, and we'll never get lost because He put these things in the sky. Well, it says that He never commanded us to. He says, if you lift up your eyes to heaven to look at them. You see that? We don't look up in the sky for any type of worship. And what I'm trying to tell you is that you can do that, but here now you have an opportunity to say, like, guess what? The scriptural calendar is in the Bible. You can look in the Bible for it. And we've done our best studies to bring these things out. So I don't know what people think. You can look up in the sky all you want. We use the sun, moon, and stars for signs of seasons, days, and years, but we do not use them for months. We do not use them for 7-day Sabbaths. We do not use them for feast days. That's all. I know how to use it for agriculture. I got a garden. I know about farming. I know all the different moons throughout the year. We're in the supermoon era right now, the harvest moon for the next 3 months that began in the beginning of August. We know all these things because we know how these things operate, but they're not for holy day worship at all. And this is the big problem that I have and I contend with many people out there, that they're using lunar calendars. And even I know the Enoch calendar's a count of 30, 30, and 31. That still is not an appropriate count because it messes up the feast days and doesn't keep them fixed on the weekly cycle. Nor do their calendars begin from the first day of the week either. They begin it from the middle of the creation week, when the sun, moon, and stars were made. And they say that's when the new year begins. That's when the new moon or new month begins. And that's when you start counting time. Foolishness and actually disrespect to Jah too.
That's right. And what should become evident, brothers and sisters, from reading these verses is that all the nations in the ancient world, the gods that they worship, were all related to worshiping the sun, moon, and stars. And this is why Jah wanted His people to be separate from the other nations of the world and not worship the sun, moon, and stars.
That's right. Okay, we saw this already. Again, just a reiteration, right? You don't see anything here. You don't see this, even though they say seasons, this is not feast, this is seasons. These seasons are the seasons right here. Summer, winter, day, night. That's day. They turn into years, cold and heat, seed time, all the agriculture. That's what the sun, moon, and star. Let them together for these things. But there's no mention of holy weeks. There's no mention of months and holy festivals. And that has to be emphasized. Because if it's not emphasized, people are going to say, well, this and that. It's not there. And it being omitted lets you know that the Most High is the one who gave you the first 7-day Sabbath. The first 7-day Sabbath is not based upon any astronomical event at all. The sun, moon, and stars were probably only in their 3rd, 4th day of existence when the 7th-day Sabbath came in, not tied to it at all. And this is something that we have to kind of speak loudly on. The first day of creation was the first month of the year, the first day of the year, the first season of the year, the first week of the year, the first day of the 7,000-year cycle. Doesn't begin with day 4. And when you deal with day 4, you don't understand what the sun, moon, and stars are for. You're going to say that they're for months and they're for festivals. And even some people keep the lunar Sabbath. Oh, I'm telling you, that's so devilish and deceptive that if you're not keen, many people are following this way. And
that's right.
I would say, may the Most High have mercy. But man, these things are devilish. And the more you know about it, is the more it stands out.
That's right. And Satan's deception is so great that he's deceived the whole world into continuing this false worship of the sun, moon, and stars.
Yes.
And now the same things that the nations have done, people who claim to be worshiping the Most High are doing it now because they're deceived into thinking that they're worshiping Jah. Meanwhile, they're doing the same things that Jah told the other nations to not do.
Yeah. It's serious, family. It's serious. All I'm encouraging everyone to do is check out the calendar thing. And here we are. When you even check out our channel, I know it's boosting that. I don't care if you subscribe. Don't even subscribe, but just check out the videos and study them. And not even, I'll say this too, you won't just learn about the true calendar. You're going to learn about all other calendars. You will actually become a semi-calendar knowledgeable person, because we don't just teach people how to say this is what it is and that's it. We want to teach people how to understand calendars, how they function, what the equinoxes, solstices do, and everything else. Because when we know this knowledge, we're more in tune and in line with our Creator, especially when it comes to observing his true holy days. You understand?
That's right.
I mean, take a look here.
Jeremiah 8, verse 1. At that time, saith Jah, they shall bring out the bones of the kings of Jehudah, and the bones of his princes, and the bones of the priests, and the bones of the prophets, and the bones of the inhabitants of Jerusalem out of their graves.
What?
And they shall spread them before the sun and the moon and all the hosts of heaven, whom they have loved and whom they have served, after whom they have walked and whom they have sought, and whom they have worshipped. They shall not be gathered nor buried. They shall be for dung upon the face of the earth. Wow.
So there's no mincing with words here. These kings of Jehudah, they're going to be coming out of their graves, it says, and they're going to be punished and go into the lake of fire because they were serving the sun, moon, and stars. And I mean, I know people are going to say, well, when we worship and we use the lunar cycle, we're not worshiping the moon. I don't know why this is emphasized in the scripture. Clearly says that means they love to worship, to use that moon. They serve the moon. They walk after it. So that means they're living after that routine, that daily routine of following lunar cycles.
That's right.
They're looking for lunar cycles. And then they end up worshiping. When you keep a lunar Sabbath, or when you keep a feast of tabernacles and it has to be the full moon, you're not worshiping Jah. You're not worshiping Yah.
Right. They are worshiping the sun, moon, and stars. They've
right.
just been deceived into thinking that they're worshiping Jah.
That's it. All these calendars that people are going to be keeping up in the next couple of weeks, the festivals, are devilish and pagan, and the Most High doesn't even look at them. He may just ignore that for now, or not ignore it, maybe just until people know better. But when people know better, these things are going to be serious. And who knows if he's even doing it now anyways, because this moon thing is being pushed a lot, and I know that the devil pushes his stuff, and it's the truth of the Most High is never forwarded, and this is what we're here for. Don't keep those things, man. It's better you just wait until the festivals start again and Passover time in February and follow them with us and keep them in your country, wherever you are. It doesn't even matter. But I'm telling you, these times are coming up, and I know it's going to be hard for people to not to do it because they want to be a part of something, but there's nothing in that. Okay, there's no righteousness in those areas, in those feasts. None of just spirits, not amongst those festivals.
That's right. It's false. It's false worship.
It is. Shabbat Shalom, Lady G. Let's continue.
1 Kings 12, verse 32. And Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month, on the 15th day of the month, like unto the feast that is in Judah. And he offered upon the altar. So did he in Bethel, sacrificing unto the calves that he had made. So he offered upon the altar which he had made in Bethel the 15th day of the month, 15th day of the 8th month, even in the month which he had devised of his own heart, and ordained a feast unto the children of Israel.
That's right. Now, we read this verse already, but again, it has to be emphasized at this time because people are not really catching on to what's going on. Andrew says, just spirit will not be in the false feast that people are keeping in September.
That's right. His presence will not be there.
That's right. So again, remember these false feasts on that calendar. But I want to let you know that when it does come to the Gregorian calendar, it's a Baal solar calendar, and it's also, it's understood to be false by many Israelite and Gentile believers. But the trick is that the lunisolar calendar is also false and is really the ancient Egyptian calendar honoring Baal and his wife Ashtaroth, the moon. So what I want to say is that, like right now, I'm talking with a brother, and because we use the weekly cycle, and even though we number it from 1 to 7, but because we refer as Sunday being the first day of the week, and the pagans have put Saturday, he's insisting that I'm in falsehood, even though I tell him, well, they're putting the numbers on thing, but he's saying, no, well, it doesn't matter. When they put it on, they switched the weekly cycle and did all this and that. And that's not true. And this is the thing. We're not bigging up the Gregorian calendar. But the thing is, people who use the lunisolar calendar, you need the Gregorian calendar to let you know when your equinoxes and stuff is coming, because a lunar calendar, it's by itself can't keep up these things. So you have to try to find some false astronomical ways of utilizing things. And so both calendars, Gregorian calendar and any lunar calendar, the Enoch calendar and the Jubilee calendar, the equinox calendars, are all Baal and solar calendars. Jah doesn't have no festivals around those paganistic times. See, I know a lot of people, when they get into this understanding, like, hey, Sept means 7, Oct means 8, Nov means 9, 10 means December. So if December is the 10th month, then you go January is 11th and February is the 12th. And that means March is the beginning of the year. And they're like, yeah, see it there. And they post it and they send it to me. And they want me to say, what do I have to say about that? I'm like, well, it's a good deception. Like I said, that the 7th moon, the 8th moon, the 9th moon. Remember, the Gregorian calendar is a Roman calendar revised. The Roman calendar and the Greek calendar, both of them, they are lunar month based. And this is what they were doing. They were keeping this September was the 7th lunar month. But because, right now, September, it looks like it's the, 10th month? No, 9th month?
9th month, yeah.
9th month, it's so out of whack. So it's called the 9th month, yet it's showing it's the 7th month, but we can truly tell you it's the 8th month.
That's right. It's the 8th month.
And it's I know it's a deception, and confusion isn't confusion for nothing. So let's put a little bit of order to this. Right? These are Jeroboam's false months, or this is what it was switched to. But truly, September is the 8th month. October is the 9th, November is the 10th, December is the 11th, January is the 12th, and February is the 1st, as we've been teaching. The second month, March, is during the spring equinox again. That's the middle of spring, right? March is the beginning of the false equinox year. So it's really like this. This is how it operates. And I know it's not easy for people to figure this one out. So you need, we all need somebody to come teach, raise up a man here or there, a woman here or there, to come give us some type of extra understanding to move through with. And this understanding is quite profound. Okay, so let's look at this chart to make it even more clear. We have the seasons, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. This is the true order. So when we do the true order, we believe February is the 1st. That means the equinox is the 2nd. It's the middle of spring, right? Then summer starts with May, where the summer solstice is the middle of summer. July is the last month. That's the 5th month. And then we have the 7th month, August, which is truly the time where we keep the festivals, right? But the 8th month is equivalent to September. The mid-equinox, again, is there. 9th month is October. 10th is November. 11th, again, the solstice. So it was in this 8th month that Jeroboam ordained a feast on the 15th, like the one that was in the 7th month. Now, here's the month names, just so you know. We call it Abib, Ziph, Sivan. The 4th son is Judah. The 5th son is Dan. The names of the 4th and 5th months, one is not in the scripture, and one is pagan, calling it Tammuz. So we just use Judah and Dan. But if you don't like the names, you could always still use your numbers, which I like. You have July is Elul, Ethanim is the 7th month, according to August. Bull, and it so happens that they're worshiping a bull in this month too. But anyways, Bull, the equinox, Kislev, Tebeth, Sebat, and Dar. So here's the false order. All this in the red is the wrong thing. But I want to show you how the Jeroboam sin is being utilized here. So our February, which is the 1st month, they're going to say our February is the 12th month, and they're going to call that Adar. Then they're going to say that the beginning of the year is the first new moon near the spring equinox. And yeah, they might say Abib, but most of the time they call it Nisan. Nisan is the name of an ancient pagan Persian sun god, but that's another story. Then we have, when we're moving down, we have the summer solstice. This is the 5th month, and they call that month Tammuz, which is another pagan sun god, Tammuz. and that's what they try to call one of the scriptural months. But you notice the Tammuz links up with the solstice, Nisan links up with the equinox, and then in September, most people know it at the 7th month as Ethanim or Bull, but they call also their 7th moon Tishri, and this is where they have their false tabernacles. So what I'm saying is that they've moved the calendar, so people think that September is the 7th month, but the truth of the matter, it's the 8th month, and this 8th month where they're keeping a festival and all those tabernacles and everything in that lunar 8th month is really Jeroboam's calendar. So I want you to look at this. This is their 7th month is really the scriptural 8th month. The 7th month of just scriptural month is August, but this is why the whole world, anybody who follows any type of biblical calendar, I don't care what you want to call it, they're all going to say that this is the 8th. Bull is the 7th month. September is the 7th month, and they're all going to have their 7th month festivals. And as you know, the way of the wicked is broad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like we're putting out somebody, we're saying, hey, well, we're keeping it in that month too, but we're special like others try to do. No, we're saying we're not even a part of that broad way. We're on the narrow path. And I give thanks to the Most High for giving us this confirmation and building our faith that this is the narrow path of observing the festivals, the true way, according to the Bible, according to the land of Israel, according to the land of Toronto, and wherever you are in the world, the festival, the seasons will still work out and are there apparent if you're paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just a chart like this is just laying it out to give you an idea of what is going on. This is the sin of Jeroboam. This is the whole trick. And the whole world is involved on it.
That's right.
So, like I was saying, when it came down to Jeroboam, he lived in Egypt for a while. Take a look here.
1 Kings 11. And Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt, unto Shishak, king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon.
Now, this sojourning in Egypt was for a few years. You understand? He didn't go there for a couple of weeks in Shishak. He was there for a few years, and he was a part, of the kingdom of Egypt. And this is where he got his knowledge and understanding, right? Of this switch, because the ancient Egyptian calendar uses that same equinox, the autumn equinox, as the beginning of like their 8th month, their 7th month moon area as well.
That's right.
Lady G says 8 is the number of new beginnings. September being the 8th month makes sense. Hence back to school, new beginnings. Yeah, the 8th month is 8 does refer to new beginnings. That's right, sister. And yeah, I never even looked at it that way, going back to school. But yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Mm-hmm. So here again is the 3-month autumn or latter summer season. We right now are on the 5th day of Bull. Here's the 15th. And that's exactly when the mid-equinox is occurring as well. And here's the 15th of the 7th month. And this is the beginning of the Feast of Tabernacles, coming from 16, 17, 18, all the way to the 22nd and to the 23rd for the 8th day. But he was starting it from here at the mid-equinox, and it was dealing with lunar observations. It wasn't. Notice now it's not fixed on the first day of the day of the week at all, right? It's shifted because this is the middle of if you look at these 3 months, 15 and 16 are the middle of autumn. And this is right where their equinox occurs, and the Egyptian equinox and the Gregorian equinox, and where everybody is going to start beginning their so-called festivals, but it's Baal worship. Does this chart make sense, Brother Javin?
Yeah, clearly.
It's just to show you the difference here, right? You see, all of this is Baal worship, right?
1 Kings 12, verse 28. Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold, and said unto them, It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. 1 Kings 17, verse 16. And they left all the commandments of Jah-their-El, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worshipped all the host of heaven, and served Baal.
So again, These be thy gods. Notice it says, made a grove and worship all the hosts of heaven and what? Serve Baal.
Yeah.
Baal, which is your modern kind of dealing with your astronomical calendars, is the worshiping of the sun, moon, and stars. And as you project holy times or trying to worship the creator on. Look at that, the host of heaven and serve Baal. It's a linkage, right?
Verse 33. They feared Jah and served their own Elohim after the manner of the nations whom they carried away from thence.
Mm-hmm. So again, we see the nations, when they carry them away, they're going to be giving them to Baal worship. Again, I mean, this is the lunar year begins here. We know, when you look up here, this is their equinox, January, February, March. That's when they do things, right? I'm just trying to show you again, just the equinoxes and solstices. It's the Gregorian calendar. The March is their third month, but the lunar year, it's their first month. As we move through, it's the fourth month, but it's the sixth month of the Gregorian calendar. Nothing here is Jah's Almanac. This is only the Gregorian and the lunar or equinox type of calendars. And like I say, December, there's solstices. They all share, what they share is the same beginning of seasons. The Gregorian calendar says March is the beginning of spring, so does the lunar year. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When they say it's the beginning of summer on the Gregorian calendar, then the lunar calendar say it's their summer too. They need the Gregorian calendar in order for them to pinpoint where their lunar cycles are going to begin. Yes, Jeroboam was the first wicked king of Israel. And even after this lesson, maybe you want to go back and watch that, maybe the first hour as we introduced Jeroboam. And he was the king of Israel when they were divided. And there was 19 wicked kings in that understanding. Again, pushed 1 month. This is Jah's true seasons. This is the pagan seasons. This is Jah's 7th month, August. Jah's 8th month is Bull. That's the middle, spring equinox. And that's when they think are deceived to think it's the 7th month. And this is why they keep the festivals, because they're going to say, it's the 7th month. Let's keep, Ram Tuhora and Rosh Hashanah and all of them stuff there, when it's truly the 8th month. That's the trick of Jeroboam again. I want you to see it. That's the deception. It's shown in your Bible, and now it's in a chart form. Right? Here we are today. And look, there's the spring equinox is on the 22nd, carrying over to the 23rd. And again, mid-autumn, true mid-autumn, is when Jeroboam is going to start his false festival. It's the middle of autumn. And this is the 8th month. It's not September, it's not the 7th month. It's the 7th moon based upon the Roman pagan lunar calendar. And this is what we're trying to show you.
That's right.
And it's tied to Jeroboam's calendar, which is tied to the Egyptian calendar. And this is why when they say the equinox comes in, it's the beginning of autumn. Equal day, equal night, people comment, hey, that's the beginning, spring equinox, equal day, equal night, and it changes. That's the middle. It's equal. Nothing starts in the middle and the equal. It starts at the beginning of something and the end of something. I don't want anybody talking about that middle as the beginning. It's not. It's the middle.
That's right.
Again, take a look. The first 3 months, spring equinox is the middle. 4, 5, 6, the solstice is the middle in June. Right? It says June. 7, 8, 9, Bull is equivalent to September. And again, this is the middle of the true autumn season, and this is when Jeroboam began his festival, copying Tabernacles over here, but he was adjusting it to the mid-autumn equinox. Let's continue.
2 Kings 21 verse 2. And he did that which was evil in the sight of Jah, after the abominations of the heathen, whom Jah cast out before the children of Israel. For he built up again the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed, and he reared up altars for Baal, and made a grove, as did Ahab, king of Israel, and worshipped all the hosts of heaven, and served them. And he built altars in the house of Jah, of which Jah said, in Jerusalem will I put my name. And he built altars for all the host of heaven in the 2 courts of the house of Jah. And he made his son pass through the fire, and observed times, and used enchantments, and dealt with familiar spirits and wizards. He wrought much wickedness in the sight of Jah to provoke him to anger.
So I want you to take a look at the connections here. He did that which was evil in the sight of Jah. He went after the abominations of the heathen. The heathen worship and use the sun, moon, and stars for their calendars and holy days. That's what they do. That's how they worship. They worship the moon. They worship Baal as the sun. That's them. We see that that's the abominations of the heathen. We see that these are altars for Baal. And we see that this Baal worship is dealing with all the host of heaven and serving them. When you serve them, that means you're doing things according to their cycles.
That's right.
And when you deal with astronomy like that, it deals with astrology and all kind of paganisms. And this is why it says later on, he observed times and people with their constellation worship with the Taurus and the Aquarius and the Aries and all of that stuff.
Zodiac.
Spirits, right? But notice what he does. He says he built these altars. What does he do it? In the house of Jah. He's supplanting Jah's true Almanac and time frames and doing what Jeroboam did and just following the heathenistic ways. So they're putting the Baal worship and trying to make that to be service to Jah, because like I said, they're serving Baal, but they're using Jah's temple. So it might not, you might seem like they might be saying, oh, Baal, Baal. No, they could be saying fully, oh, Yah. But they're giving credit to the sun, moon, and stars.
Which Jah did not command them to do.
Right? And they're not commanded to do that. And again, the abominations of the heathen, host of heaven, observer of times. All of these things work together. This is what the Israelites did after Jeroboam. Go ahead, brother.
Great wickedness. He even sacrificed his own son. And we don't know in the heathen and pagan customs of the world, they actually sacrifice people at these times, these astronomical time frames.
That's right. They do. They do so in secret and openly. Sister Andrea says they don't like the people who profess to be the people of the scriptures, yet people want to run with their calendars to worship and serve the Most High. Pure confusion therein. Yeah. Lady, you said real confusion, Andrea. Real confusion. Bless up, sister. All right. Let's continue. So Baal or Baalim, Baal's used 62 times, and that's going to get its own study in the future as well. Baalim used 18 times. Baal, Lord, Master, Supreme Male Divinity of the Phoenicians. A Reubenite is also a town. And Baal, same as a Phoenician deity, plural, Baalim. That's dealing with the sun, moon, and stars. Here's an example of Baal worship amongst the Israelites.
Ezekiel 8, verse 15. Then said he unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of Jah's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of Jah, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of Jah, and their faces toward the east, and they worshiped the sun toward the east.
Again, I'm just trying to show you something here, that anytime you see this Baal worshiping the sun, moon, or stars, notice like Jah's always, it's like they're turning their back on Jah. Look at that. They turn their back on Jah's temple. Last time they put altars in the court of Jah's temple. You understand? So it's like when they're doing the sun, moon, and star worship and everything and Baal worship, it's like Jah's things are still there, layered down underneath, but they cover it and pollute Jah's things in order to worship Baal here. Right? This is a big thing of understanding. It says this inner court of Jah's house. It says that there's 25 men, that worship. On the 25th of December, when they celebrate the solstice, which is the 21st as well, and they celebrate Christmas, all of that time is Baal, obvious Baal worship. We all know it is. Christmas trees and Santa, Satan, Claus, and all kind of things. Then you have your other big Baal worship time, party time is at the spring equinox with they call their fake Passover, the Aprilis Passover. Then they got their Easter and all other kind of pagan things that happen around that time. Again, using the sun, moon, and stars, Baal worship, projecting it on people, but it's just changed its color, its design, and now it's called Easter and all of this and its niceness for the kids. But it's devil worship.
That's right. That's right. They're worshiping devils and they don't even know it. They are worshiping the sun, moon, and stars and don't even know it. And that's why Satan has deceived the whole world and he's continuing to do it.
That's right, brother. Scripture.
Judges 10, verse 6. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of Jah and served Baalim and Ashtaroth and the gods of Syria and the gods of Zidon and the gods of Moab and the gods of the children of Ammon, and the gods of the Philistines, and forsook Jah, and served not him.
Wow.
1 Samuel 7, verse 3. And Samuel spake unto all the house of Israel, and saying, If ye do return unto Jah with all your hearts, then put away the strange gods and Ashtaroth from among you, and prepare your hearts unto Jah, and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines. Then the children of Israel did put away Baalim and Ashtaroth and serve Jah only.
Wow. That's what we want today. We want everybody to put away the Baalim and Ashtaroth calendars. Forget about watching the moon like the pagans do. Guess what? The gods of Syria, sun and moon. The gods of Zidon, sun and moon. Moab, all of them, sun and moon. They just have different names. Moloch here, Remphan there, Ashtaroth here, Baal there. It's sun and moon worship. And they the way they worship them is that when there's special solar and lunar times, they offer special sacrifices and ceremonies of which the Israelites were not supposed to follow.
That's right.
The calendars of Israel that we're following today that are going to be starting in September is Jeroboam's false calendar, and we have to help our brothers and sisters to put away Baalim and Ashtaroth away from us.
That's right. And Jah will always raise up prophets and people to help turn away false worship of the children of Israel and back to Jah. Because the devil's, one of his plans is to turn your worship from Jah towards the sun, moon, and stars. Remember, all these nations weren't bowing down and saying, "Oh, Lucifer, Lucifer." No, they were worshiping the sun, moon, and stars, not knowing that they were actually worshiping the devil.
That's right. Well said. Again, Ashtaroth. What is it? A star, dealing with stars. Also Ishtar, Assyria, and Astarte, all dealing with even Easter. You understand? They're all dealing with the same thing. And this is why when people are keeping their Passover during the April time, I call it the Aprilis Easter Passover. That's what's going on. Just things are not linked up with that Passover. They tend to kind of try to cover up the Feast of Weeks with it, but the Passover is done in February, mid-February. Mid to late February is when the Passover is truly kept, and that's the true time of the barley wheat season beginning as well. So again, I'm just trying to share these things. You know, you're gonna have your own choice and what to do, but I advise you do some research. Pray for the Most High. Maybe he'll, guide you in understanding.
2 Kings 23, verse 4. And the king commanded Hilkiah, the high priest, and the priests of the second order, and the keepers of the door, to bring forth out of the temple of Jah all the vessels that were made for Baal, and for the grove, and for all the hosts of heaven. And he burned them outside Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and carried the ashes of them unto Bethel. And he put down the idolatrous priests, whom the kings of Judah had ordained to burn incense in the high places in the cities of Judah, and in the places round about Jerusalem. Them also that burn incense unto Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the planets, and to all the host of heaven.
Wow. Very profound linkage again. Baal, host of heaven, the planets, sun, moon, and stars, constellation, the Mazzaroth that people say that we're supposed to follow. And the Mazzaroth tells you when the sun goes into, Aries or whatever in March, that is when that's there and the moon is there, we have the spring equinox in the beginning of the year. They use Baal, sun, and the moon to dictate when the beginning and the calendars are. And it's Baal worship to the T.
To the T. So the worship of the sun, moon, and stars is alive and well, even up until this present day.
Yes. Baal, sun, moon, and star worship. Oh, they just love their crescent, and Mandem is out there sounding out the shofar. When the new crescent comes and they say, oh, when Israel saw the new moon, the crescent, everybody went on the hills and blew the shofar. Get out of here with that foolishness. They ain't blowing the shofar to the moon. Jah only gets that type of praise. You blow shofar on holy days, the Sabbath. You don't blow shofar on lunar times. I'm telling you, it might seem like small things, but they're making things that are not holy and trying to make them holy. And the things that are holy, they're calling, worthless and old and in the wrong time. And we know what's going on. Good is called evil, evil is called good. And people love their sun, moon, and star. People even look at the moon, it's so pretty and beautiful. And the scriptures tell you, if you think the moon is pretty and everything, be careful that you're disrespecting Jah. I know Jah's creation is beautiful, but the creation is supposed to make you think about him. Don't get caught up into the sun, moon, and stars and just think that they have their own type of beauty when Jah is the one that gave them that.
That's
People do it still.
Of course. Amos 5 verse 26. Which you have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch, and Shiun, your images, the star of your God, which ye made to yourselves. Acts 7 verse 41. And they made a calf in those days, and offered sacrifice unto the idol, and rejoiced in the works of their own hands. Then Jah turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets, O you house of Israel, have ye offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Yea, you took up the tabernacle of Moloch, and the star of your god Remphan, figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon.
So they have a false tabernacle that they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Sukkoth, they call it. And actually, Sukkoth was actually a pagan god as well. It was a pagan god as well. But here we have, again, works of their own hands, gave them up to worship the host of heaven. Again, worship the host of heaven just means setting holy dates and time frames by the sun, moon, and stars under a false calendar. It don't mean that they looked at the sun and said, oh, sun, and they thought the sun created them, but they gave the honor of these holy times to the sun, moon, and stars.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I mean, family, you know who's all using this calendar in the world today and who claim to be who they are and who represent this star and this cycle and all of this and that. And they're people who want to keep these lunar cycle festivals and spring equinox and everything. They join these guys in it. Yeah, look at their Nissan is right there. Their Nissan deals with March. See it right there? March going over into April. Look at it right there.
Yeah.
And that's what people are doing. Look at their September. Where's it? Heshavan, Tisri right here. Tisri starting in September, going into October. But we know it's really the 8th month. You see that?
Yeah.
See it right there? People are following these individuals with their equinox and solar worship and the lunar stuff and just think, oh, well, he just knows our heart. No, to be honest, it's better not to keep these things than to keep them.
That's right, 100%.
I'd rather not keep the festivals at the wrong time and not know rather than keep them based upon assuming that they have something to do with lunar cycles. Boy, definitely live in some dangerous times. You see, you're using it, Jeroboam's false Israelite calendar. Again, I keep emphasizing it though, right? I need it to really sink in. February is the beginning, March is the second month, but March is their first month. We go all the way through. The 7th month is really August, and that's when we keep the festivals of the 7th month. But that in Babylon, that's the 6th month. And then in the 8th month, which we know is September, that's when they're keeping their 7th month, and they're going to have a festival, Tabernacles, in the 7th month, and it'll be on the 15th day of the 7th moon, which is really the 8th month, the 15th day of the 8th month. Again, I hope you can see what's happening here.
And back to that 6-pointed star, Brother Sean, that 6-pointed star is a symbol for Baal worship.
That's right. That's right. Sun and moon worship. Yeah.
Book of Tobit, 1 verse 3. I, Tobit, have walked all the days of my life in the ways of truth and justice. And I did many alms deeds to my brethren and my nation, who came with me to Nineveh, into the land of the Assyrians. And when I was in mine own country, in the land of Israel, being but young, all the tribe of Naphtali, my father, fell from the house of Jerusalem, which was chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, that all the tribes should sacrifice there, where the temple of the habitation of the Most High was consecrated and built for all ages. Now all the tribes which together revolted, and the house of my father Naphtali sacrificed unto the heifer Baal. But I alone went often to Jerusalem at the feasts, as it was ordained unto all the people of Israel by an everlasting decree, having the first fruits and tenths of the increase, with that which was first shorn, and them gave I at the altar to the priests, the children of Aaron.
Well, you see, he's just pointing out here when he was in Nineveh on that scattering, he knew that, his father's tribe, Naphtali, they dealt with Jeroboam's, worship. The heifer Baal. The heifer is dealing with the calf. And you notice that they call the calf Baal, and the Baal is worshipped with the sun, moon, and stars. I hope you're making this link. And notice that he says he went alone to Jerusalem at the feast, as it was ordained. So he's letting you know that, again, this Naphtali sacrifice that they're doing in the 8th month, September, coming up shortly, is sacrificing to Baal. It's a worship, praise to Baal. It is. I'm sorry for telling brothers and sisters that, because they're going to say, no, it's not, and it's not. Well, I don't mind being your enemy for telling you the truth, but it's true. You keep up a lunar month thing, man. You're dealing with the devil, Baal, Satan, Beelzebub, and all of his demons. Them. That's what they love. That's what they want. That's how they deceive human beings to worship them and people think that they're worshiping the Most High at these holy times and crying and feeling so happy and sad. Meanwhile, John has seen none of it. You understand? Because it's contrary to his ordination of his true decrees of his festivals and his almanac.
Yeah. And you can see here how Tobit was a remnant of one of the few who worship Jah in spirit and truth in the right way. Meanwhile, the rest of the people went and gone after Baal and worship Baal rather than Jah.
He even said his father's tribe. He said his father's tribe, right?
That's right. The entire tribe.
Yeah. So he never loved his father more than he loved Jah. You understand? Because that's how some people will do. Well, if my cousins and all my family and their brothers and sisters are worshiping at this time, I'm part of that assembly, I'm going to do it too. Boy, I think I remember there was a verse that said, the people put down Baal and Ashtaroth, and that's what you got to do. Don't follow people to go do something that you're not sure of, and then just say, "Oh, Joe, just have mercy," and kind of like gamble. It's like you're rolling the dice. Like, okay, well, hope he accepts it. No, this is what we're here to tell you. He doesn't, and I'm not going to hold back and lie and butter it up. I do hope Jah's mercy, because the knowledge is not vast, but those who are hearing it now getting a great head start on things, because this is going to come down in the future to understanding these true holy days opposed to the Baal worship. Remember, Elijah said, hey, who are you going to serve, Jah or Baal? And some people in the world might call Baal Yah, you understand? Some people not unknowingly, so you got to be careful. And that's why when it comes to names, I look at doctrine, and I have no problem using the other understanding of Jah, Yah, and that. But just boy, the linkage of the Yahweh and everything to Baal worship and archaeological discoveries and stuff is really, really profound. Yeah, man, the 6-pointed star is the star of Remphan for sure. The so-called are there while David had no star. Yeah, exactly. There's no exactly all of those things.
That's right.
Our brothers and sisters even use that and try to defend it and call it a lily.
That star is satanic to the core.
That's right.
666 all over it.
That's right. You see, Satan has redesigned and declared the sun, moon, and stars as the focus of mankind's worship. All the pagan nations, past and present, use calendars that have special worship days according to the lunar cycle and the equinoxes and solstices. Check it out yourself. This is how the sun, moon, and stars are honored and worshipped. As well, he has used the moon, the queen of heaven, to lead us from the scripturally appointed holy Sabbath, holy months, and holy feast days. And people believe in lunar Sabbaths, lunar months, and lunar years. Astronomical weeks, months, and holy days are completely out of sync with the scripturally designed time frames created and imposed by Jah. So it becomes quite important to know what the scriptures declare as the authentic beginning of weeks, months, and years to honor him at his holy feasts at the true appointed times. This is what we want to do. Again, oh no, we've read this one already, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we read that. Yeah.
Right. Again, he never commanded nothing about the host of heaven. If you serve the host of heaven, again, it's a wicked thing.
Hosea 2 verse 8. For she, Israel, did not know that I gave her corn and wine and oil and multiplied her silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal.
Wow, watch this. Notice what Jah's giving them things, and notice what they do. They're preparing it for Baal. Watch the language here.
Instead of Jah.
Yeah.
Therefore will I return and take away my corn in the time thereof, and my wine in the season thereof, and will recover my wool and my flax given to cover her nakedness. And now will I discover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and none shall deliver her out of mine hand. I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts. And I will destroy her vines and her fig trees, whereof she had said, These are my rewards that my lovers have given me. And I will make them a forest, and beasts of the field shall eat them. And I will visit upon her the days of Baalim, wherein she burned incense to them. And she decked herself with her earrings and her jewels, and she went after her lovers and forgot me, saith Jah.
Wow.
Wow.
So they prepared their stuff for Baal. Notice he says that I will cause all her, this is why I didn't even translate. I didn't even switch as her new moons, because John never said Jah's stuff are his. I want you to remember that. What I'm emphasizing here is that Jah has his stuff for him, but they're preparing things for Baal, and he says, I'll cause her mirth, Israelites, their mirth to cease, her feast days based upon the moon, her new moons, months based upon the months, her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts. This is what Jah don't like, and it's dealing with Baalim worship, because we see it right here. I will visit upon her the days of Baalim. So they pray for Baal. They're dealing with the new moons and that festival, and it's a different calendar, different thing. It's Jeroboam's calendar, the devil's calendar.
That's right. And they relish in their false worship, saying that they burn incense to her. They decked herself and made her look beautiful, and beautiful robes and earrings and all of that. Meanwhile, it's worshiping Baalim.
It's right. I know people who, you can burn incense, love it. When it comes to the festivals, they're going to burn up their incense and everything, and they're going to burn it up, and they burn it up because they see the sliver of the moon, Maybe it's a new moon, or if it's a full moon, and they're going to burn incense because they see that sign, and not knowing that they're burning incense to the sun, moon, and stars. But they think it's Jah. But they err in their mind. So it's not like Jah just saying, well, I understand, because there are ignorant things that he will give us a blight for at times, and again, that's in his will. I wouldn't say how he does it, but I know he knows if we're ignorant of something, he's going to go easier on us than if we rebellious towards something.
That's right.
So again, this leads us to, this is how the seasons are in Israel, and they match up perfectly with the scriptures. And when we go on to the next week's lessons, the next couple of weeks, you're going to see how all these things work perfectly from your Holy Bible, right? Sorry. So we have this chart here. We have Israel's seasons, the latter rains, the summer fruits divided into early summer and autumn summer, or latter summer. We have the early rain season beginning with the second rains. We have how many days are in each month. What's the equivalent of Bibscrew to February, the first month, 28 days. You can see it. I would screenshot this. If you want to get the high and low temperatures, you have them right here. Or the average temperatures in degrees Celsius and in degrees Fahrenheit in the land of Israel. You can see and compare with the changing of the temperatures and the seasons as we go through Again, do your own personal studies. The amount of daylight, how long the sun is up from sunrise to sunset. You'll have some 11 to 12, up to 14 hours. Even though the Messiah said there's 12 hours in a day, you have to understand what's really talking about is an average. And then we see that these are the average amount of sunlight, daylight hours throughout the year. How much rain is throughout the year in millimeters or inches. Understanding that the summer is a dry season and that 2 millimeters doesn't mean anything. It's like 6 months, again, of hot, dry season until the winter begins, which is the early rains. And you can see, again, even the days of rain at the bottom, 12, 12, 9, going to 2, going through to nothing to 2 again, and then building back up. So these here, this here chart here is one of the fantastic charts. And again, the equinoxes and the solstices are the middle of the true seasons, and everybody's going to be keeping, even though it's the 8th scriptural month, they're going to say it's the 7th and keep a false tabernacles. But I want to let you know that Jah rejected this calendar as we move through into closing this off right here. Last 2 slides.
2 Kings 17, verse 20. And Jah rejected all the seed of Israel and afflicted them and delivered them into the hand of spoilers, until he had cast them out of his sight. For he rent Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drave Israel from following Jah, and made them sin a great sin. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam which he did. They departed not from them, until Jah removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophets. So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day.
So again, finally seeing here, Jah rent Israel from the house of David. Jeroboam drave Israel from following Jah and made them to sin a great sin. The calendar sin and the idol worship was a great sin.
That's
and it
right.
says the children of Israel walked in these and they departed not from them. And that's what I see today with solar and lunar calendars. Nobody's not departing from them. They're still worshiping Baal. And this is, what we're trying to say. Because
and this
when you
is
look
what
at
the
it,
devil wants us to do, right? He wants to drive your worship away from Jah so that we can sin a great sin and lose our eternal lives.
That's right. And we see that all the other Israelite kings, when they were dealing with, the nation, the act of worshiping on unsanctified feast days was most catastrophic blunder that ancient Israel ever made. It was a sin so grievous that over and over again, the wickedness of succeeding kings was measured against it. Repeatedly, these words appear in the scripture about this continual calendar error and separation from Jah. 1 Kings 15, 16, 26, 2 Kings 3, we read these repeated words, Brother Javid.
And he did evil in the sight of Jah, and walked in the way of Jeroboam, and in his sin wherewith he made Israel to sin.
You see, this sin is alive and well today in the false solar and lunisolar calendars that many say is the true calendar. We are still walking in this great sin. And so whether it was Baasha, Amre, Joram, all these guys, look what it says. Almost done, Brother Javid.
Yes, 1 Kings 15, verse 34. And he, Baasha, did evil in the sight of Jah, and walked in the way of Jeroboam, and in his sin wherewith he made Israel to sin.
Just read the red part then.
1 Kings 16. And thou hast walked in the way of Jeroboam, and hast made my people Israel to sin.
And that's again against Baasha. Go ahead, brother.
But Omri wrought evil in the sight of in the evil in the eyes of Jah, and did worse than all that were before him. For he walked in all the way of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, and in his sin wherewith he made Israel to sin, to provoke Jah Elohim of Israel to anger with their vanities. 2 Kings 3, verse 3. Nevertheless, he, Jehoram, cleaved unto the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, which made Israel to sin. He departed not therefrom.
So I hope you're getting a good understanding of this great sin. It seems like it's repeated, right? This is why the Most High says, I despise your feast days, and he won't smell in our assemblies. You understand? Though you offer me burnt offerings, your meat offerings, I will not accept them, and I will not regard your peace offerings. Take thou away from me the noise of your songs. I will not hear the melody of thy vows, but let judgment run down as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream. have you offered unto me sacrifices and offerings in the wilderness 40 years, O house of Israel? But you have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch, and Kayun, your images, the star of your God, which you made to yourselves. That's that same star, you understand? That six-pointed star of Moloch. It's not the Star of David. Right? So I hope you got some understanding about the true Almanac, getting a good basics of this, topic. And as always, all praise and glory and honor to Jah, Yah, our Abba, and his only begotten Son, Jehoshua the Messiah, who died for our sins, also known as Yahshua, Yehoshua, Yahusha, Yahawashah, Yeshaya, Jesus, Joshua the Messiah, the Mashiach, the Christ. Praise the Father and the Son.
Praise Jah.
Thanks for sticking in for that extra few minutes. And I hope you got some understanding about the sin of Jeroboam. 7b, as we go into things, it's going to be using this Jeroboam and going into more, and some great different understandings coming through. So, I hope you got some understanding. Please don't forget to, before you sign out, give a thumbs up if you haven't. That helps, others get to see this information, push it out. And if you ever have any comments or questions, you could always email me at Zainabjah. You can always find my email anywhere. All right. And bless up, Brother John. Thank you as well.
Yes. Bless up, Johnny.
Shabbat Shalom as we enter to all the brethren and sisters of Zion again. Auntie Alma, Mama Greg, Janessa, Carice, Monroe family, Sky, Fire, Zariah, Shakira, Janessa, I said already, Andrea, Lady G, Brother John Dunn, and all others who are tuning in. One love to you. And have a good week, everyone.
Yes.
Bless up, sister. All right, Brother Javid.
All right, Brother Sean. Bless up, Brother Sean. Good work today.
Yeah, good work, Leon.
Yeah, man. Bless up, everyone. Have a good week. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and visit the education shop. Get yourselves a copy of Jah's Almanac and his calendar so you can keep the true times.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, man.
Have a blessed week, everyone. One love. Yes, I hope you got a good amount of information, sister. All right.
All right. Bless up, everyone. Have a good week. Keep the faith. And until next Sabbath day, one love. Praise Jah and his son Joshua.
Praise John Joshua.
Out.
Bless up, Brother John Dunn. Yah bless. Yeah, man. One love. Praise the Most High. Okay. That's it. That's it, families. All right. Bless up, one love. We'll talk another time. Shalom.